Hidden far beneath the surface of the earth lies the glittering world of Minecraft caves. And that is exactly where Millie and I are heading. So come along as we create a glowing, magical world in the depths of the earth and transform a lush cave in a Minecraft makeover. Welcome to my cave. It's already a very nice cave, but it could be so much better, and I'm really excited to get going on that. But before we can do anything, we need to do a couple of things. So let's just run down our to-do list. We need to get tools, we need to get food, and we need a bed. Oh, and obviously torches. There are a lot of scary things about. But since there aren't any trees down here, I'm gonna have to start with using some of this wood from a mine shaft to be able to get tools, to then dig myself out of here to get some food and other tools. Well, technically I can get all of my tools here, but you know what I mean. Ooh, actually I could make some stone tools, go fight a couple skeletons, get some bone meal, and then make some of these little azaleas into big azalea trees and get more wood that way. That probably is the better plan here. Oh, there's a single piece of actual wood here that I can just turn into planks. There's loads of them. I don't know why I didn't notice that at first. You know, it's actually kind of nice starting underground because I can just literally grab everything immediately. Everything is all around me. Okay, tools acquired. Let's just grab a bunch of this wood so that we can go and grab some coal for torches. And I'm thinking for food, we can actually just stick to eating glowberries for now. Just because I'm feeling a little bit lazy. We can get some sheep or just seeds and whatnot when we go to the surface. But for now, I don't know why I picked that up. Let's not interact with the mobs. Okay, we've got our bed made from spider string. We've got a furnace and we've got a couple chests just to get us started here. And we have a few torches. If I could place these correctly, that would be great. And let's just light this up a little bit. We're pretty well lit by these glowberries here, but obviously we want to make sure that we're very safe at our little base here before we start going out for materials and building our actual base. So we're looking really good, but the food situation is definitely dire. So let me just grab a few more glowberries and then, ouch, we can head out for some materials after I take care of these guys. Ow, how are they hitting me from there? All right, so after that encounter, we're definitely gonna need to get some more glowberries because I think it's gonna take every single one that I have in my inventory to get my health back up to normal. We may need to play it safe here and just grab the ones that are super close to our base here because it's a little bit too scary out there. Luckily, we have all of these torches though. Okay, finally time to take a nap. Not that it really makes much difference because we are underground. But let's head out for some materials. I set out from my little area in search of iron, coal, and diamonds. Once that was sorted, I gathered some obsidian before heading above ground. There, I gathered books from a village, some bricks, various seeds, and a lot of oak and spruce wood. I sheared every sheep in sight on my way back down and snagged some azalea leaves from the surface. Okay, so first things first, I really don't want to have to keep stopping for food, so I'm gonna get a farm set up. I'm just gonna start with a small wheat farm just to be safe and so that we can get right into the building. Then I think later we'll get into adding in some more to the farm. And obviously, even though this is only a small farm, I'm still going to try and make it look cute in preparation for when we add more later. But first, let's get all of this dirt filled in. And now that's filled in, let's fill in these holes with some water. And now let's get this land tilled and eventually planted. And just before we plant it, I'm gonna build a little fence around the whole thing, just because it's not gonna start growing in yet anyway, because I think it's probably a bit too dark. So we just as well do the details first. Okay, that's looking a little bit strange. So I'm actually just gonna take out all of these extra pieces and replace them with some more oak wood. That way I can put the fences like this and actually join them all up. And now that's done, let's add in some lighting. So let's go up just 1, 2, 3. Then let's get ourselves up here. Add in a campfire, put that thing out, and then add in some lanterns either side, and then add in our trapdoors. Super cute, but super simple. And we are all lit up. Let's plant some seeds so we can stop eating these glowberries, which taste lovely, but unfortunately don't cure my hunger very much. Oh, I can't place there. That's annoying. I'm gonna have to place a few more lanterns because there are some dead spots here. Okay, I wonder if I can get away with putting in oil lanterns here, and that will create enough light for those places that aren't lit up enough. I hope. Okay, yeah, that's worked. That is the best news I've ever received. Ooh, okay, perfect. Okay, so I can't keep sleeping in our little hole up here, so I think it's time we build my house. I'm thinking I kind of want it to look like it's in a tree stump sort of thing, and that maybe it used to be growing in the cave. I feel like that would be pretty cute. And now that the outline's done, let's fill this floor in. So I'm thinking we have it so there's like a little lower porch type area as you walk into the house, and then there's this small little step up, and then there's the whole living room sort of situation. So added in my little step here, then I just need to do the planks right here, and then that should be good for our ground floor. For the frame, well, there isn't really a frame, so I guess the walls of the house, I'm just gonna build up with all of this oak wood and then mix in some spruce logs as I go and eventually strip them. That way we still have a bit of variation in texture happening. Okay, we have our walls and our roof added. Now let's add our second floor, then we can get to adding exterior details. So to start with the details, I'm gonna add in some of this glass for the windows, and then we can head outside and add all the extra stuff out there, because right now it looks like just a big old chunk of wood has been placed here. You see, it's not very pretty, and it looks like we have a visitor. That is very unwelcome, so let's deal with that guy. And let's add some details to these windows. So I'm just gonna add some stairs either side. These ones are a little bit awkward to do because I have put them on the corner, but it's kind of difficult not to do that because obviously we are dealing with a circular house basically. Why can I not do this? I think I need to take out this block here so that I can stand more sideways. There we go. Okay, then on this one we can just be a little bit more normal and place them either side. And then let's just add some oak. And then let's just add some oak fences for details around the windows. Again, this corner window is going to look a little bit strange, but we just got to do what we got to do. So let's get up to the top and also add the details to that one. Again, we have another weird corner situation going on. Oh, I feel like actually I should add some spruce details out here too, because the oak is looking a little bit jarring against the normal oak wood and the spruce stuff. So maybe we'll give that a go. Let's do spruce slabs under here, then one here, and then we can add in some spruce trap doors. Oh, not on that level. To create a kind of flower bed thing, if we just get rid of that first. Now let's do the same to this window. Spruce slab, and then spruce trap doors if I didn't just fall off of my log. Okay, that's looking a little bit better now with all those details. I'm just gonna run in and add in a few of these spruce palisades just to add in just a little bit more chaos, to be honest. And obviously it wouldn't be an end build without leaves all over the thing, so that's exactly what we're doing right now, just mixing up all of the normal azalea leaves with our flowering azalea leaves and making it look a little bit cooler up here. Okay, that's looking a lot cuter now with all of the leaves and the flowers going on. The last thing that I want to add to make it look a little bit more housey though is a little awning thing outside of the front door. If I could reach, that would be great, thank you. Let's join this up with one of these and one of these, then do the rest with these. And actually let's take out a couple of these right here and then replace them with azalea leaves to look a little bit cuter. And then on top, oh, where did that place? And then on top, let's add in some campfires and obviously put them out so we don't burn our toes. And for our final detail here, I'm just going to add in a little, what do I call it? A thing where you will have the fire from a fireplace. A chimney. That is the word I was looking for. Ouch. Ouch. Okay, actually, what is going on over here? I am not happy about that, but what I was going to say is I lied. The final detail here is actually going to be adding carpet to these stairs here just to add a little bit of extra color to the build. Oh. Can I get back up, please? Thank you. Okay, that is the exterior of the house finished. I should probably deal with this little problem over here and light it all back up. That was definitely my mistake, removing the torches, forgetting that I was in a very dark cave. And now it's time for a personal little treat, which is interiors. So if you hadn't guessed by my inventory already, this little room off to the side here is going to be our enchant room. And this is super important because we are definitely going to need a few enchants. Since I didn't want to spend too much time getting books and whatnot, I've made a bunch of these shelves which I can use a hammer with to create the illusion of extra bookshelves just to fill in this gap, just like this. Obviously the books don't match, but I feel like that kind of adds to the charm. Now Millie, if you could look out, that would be great. And we have our simple enchant area. So we have quite a weird space to work with down here, and I'm not entirely sure what I'm gonna do with it yet, so I am just gonna go head upstairs and make our bedroom. So let's start by adding in our bed and then a couple cabinets and some lamps. Now let's get rid of these oak planks onto the bed, and we're gonna replace them with some mossy blocks just to create the idea of a rug. Now that's done, let's create some shelves either side of the fireplace right here, which I am going to eventually add a proper fireplace. And surprise, surprise, let's add in our fireplace. So I'm going to use these fireplace blocks, which are super, super cute. And that just looks awesome. Now I'm just going to add in a few extra cabinets right here and then a little desk situation right here. And with some extra decorations, that is our bedroom complete. It's kind of crazy how much of a difference just adding some leaves and glowberries has made. So downstairs, I'm going to start with a living room. I have my little crafting table and furnace hidden right here. And I'm just going to put some cabinets along this back wall and then some spruce shelves to fill in this gap. Then let's turn these into maybe these items, whatever they are. And then let's just add some flower boxes all along the back just to add in some color and texture, to be honest. Now let's cover up this hole under the stairs with our couch and then add in a little mini couch over on this side and a little coffee table slash footrest thing. Instead of adding a door to the enchant area, I kind of just made it this little vine entrance, which is super, super cute, but I do need to put a kitchen in here just for storage, so we're gonna have to try and build around it, sort of. So I'm gonna add in these corner trims just to create a little bit more of drama to the entrance. And then let's put our brick sink in this hole and then our stove on this side. Would it be too much to cover up this one more? Maybe it's a little bit strange, but I don't hate it. I think that looks good. Now let's just add in a couple flower boxes up here and the rest of our flowers. And I'm going to use the rest of our oak trapdoors to create a sort of backsplash slash tiling situation just to make the kitchen look a little bit more separate. Does that work? I think it does. And with that being said, that is our interiors finished. I am super, super happy with how these have turned out. Let's move on to the next build. So as always, Millie has been running around and getting stuck in a lot of places. So I think we're going to build her a little house to give her somewhere to sit and relax. I'm just thinking making a mini version of my house would be super cute, just enough room to have her food and water and a little pet bed. Usually I'd give her a bit more space, but unfortunately I don't have a lot of materials left over right now to do that, so mini house it is. Okay, that is literally so cute. It's just a little tiny tree stump, but anyways, let's add in some trapdoors on the sides here to act like windows. We all know how much Millie loves to climb through trapdoors instead of real doors. Then let's just add a real door for good measure. Hopefully we'll put that in the right place and not right there. Then let's just add our water bowl, our food bowl, and a little pet bed. And that is Millie's little house finished. I'm kind of scared to ask her what she thinks because she's used to having a lot more going on. Oh, surprise, surprise, she is stuck in a trapdoor. Let's open that for her. Maybe she'll come out. Millie, come on. Come on, there is enough holes in the walls here for you to come out of this house normally. All right, this is your tiny little house, Mills. What do you think? Oh, she loves it. Maybe she prefers a tiny space since that's where she's always getting stuck in. Anyways, let's just go take a nap for good measure. I know we're underground and it doesn't really matter, but it's still good to take as many naps as you possibly can in this game. I headed out to the mines to top off my iron and coal. I then gathered a bunch of food and coarse dirt, lily pads, moss, and azalea leaves, procrastinating as much as possible before going to the end. I then spent an unreasonable amount of time getting Eyes of Ender and hunting down a stronghold. Once I got to the end, I hid and shot the dragon like a coward before setting off to the end islands for various glow shroom materials. I also snagged some jelly shroom blocks and some tenene flowers and leaves. Finally, out of the end, I unwound by gathering some sandstone before heading home. Okay, so I'm back and armed with some fabulous glowing blocks from the Better End mod. My friend showed me this mod when he heard I wanted to do this video, and honestly, it is just so perfect for what we're trying to do here. Anyways, I just want to add a big mushroom so that we get this glowy mushroom cave sort of vibe, so let's get that done. Alright, now that the stem of our mushroom is built up, let's get to work on the little bit under the cap. You know where those little liney bits would be? Unfortunately, I don't really have a block that mimics that texture perfectly. I think they're called gills actually, which, look, I am a huge mushroom lover. I will literally eat them raw just as a little snack, and my family thinks it is gross. But the fact that the underside is called gills makes me just a little less excited about eating them, because now I can't stop thinking about mushrooms as some kind of weird land sea creature, and it's just a bit unsettling, so I tend to not really think about the names of the parts of the mushrooms. Anyways, let's get the rest of this cap looking cute. Speaking of eating mushrooms, this is definitely one I would not want to eat because I feel like the bright blue color is nature's way of saying, do not eat me. I think it's pretty safe to say that if a mushroom looks this vibrant, it's probably very, very poisonous, and you probably shouldn't even touch it with your hands. Unfortunately, I don't have a choice right now, but you guys should stay away from this mushroom at all costs. I'm just going to run around and cover up all of these glowing blocks, but don't worry, they are still visible from underneath. I just need to build up the actual cap part of this mushroom. So I think I'm just going to add another row of this, and what is happening with that being placed on top of the wood? That is crazy. Okay, that should be the cap done for now. Let's just take a little jump down here. Ouch! Oh my gosh, it's like you could hear my ankles breaking. I'm thinking that glow looks really cool, but I don't like how uniform it's looking under there. So I'm just gonna build up and add another layer of this wood and some of the glowing stuff, which is called Mossy Glow Shroom Hymenophore, which is a really fun name to say, and I'm going to avoid saying it as much as possible because it takes a lot of brain power to remember that last word. Hymenophore. Gosh. Building upwards like this is a little bit tricky because it feels like I'm looking down and building on the floor from like a slightly flying position. I don't know, it feels really strange, especially with these like really irregular wiggly blocks. But anyway, let's fill in these gaps here with more of this mossy glow shroom. What is it called? Mossy glow shroom hymenophore. There we go. And I also want to bring down a few of these side pieces to also just be less uniform. There we go. We are definitely looking a lot better now. And how has Millie got herself stuck in there? How have you done that? That might be the craziest one yet. Now, for our mushroom spots, I have these glow shroom furs, which kind of look like... Ouch. Where did that come from? How did I just get randomly shot? Where is it? Did I just get shot by a ghost? What just happened? Anyways, I was trying to say they look like the little coral fans that you get in the, well, on the corals, but just got shot by a ghost instead. Okay, I feel like that one was probably a bit close to that one, so let's maybe do that instead. Do some of this, a couple of those on the side. And now we're back under here, adding some extra details with these sandstone slabs. I just felt like there was too much, ouch. I just felt like there was too much of this going on, so I'm just gonna break it up a little with the sandstone, and I feel like, actually, now I'm really looking at it. These blocks here kind of mimic the gills of mushrooms perfectly, but oh well. I've decided I'm gonna do this whole sandstone thing. I have all the materials, so obviously I'm gonna use them. Okay, I'm super happy with how that's looking. I'm just gonna run around the side here and add in a couple of these mushrooms that are sort of like hanging out of the edge. I feel like would make this feel a little bit better. And actually let me take out a couple of these blocks and replace them with the glowing ones. And I'm thinking we also add one over here so it looks like the mushrooms are spreading a little bit. And I'm just adding in another mushroom over here, and hopefully that should be it for these mushrooms. I definitely want to add a different kind of mushroom over on the other side, but I am really loving how these blue mushrooms are turning out. Literally, how insane do those look? That might be like one of the coolest things I've ever built. So one of my references for this video is the movie Atlantis. I just love how the underground area looks. It is absolutely gorgeous and definitely one of my favorite Disney movies. But because of that, I really want to do a sort of pond or pool with like a waterfall and make the whole thing look like it's glowing. Now that the pond is dug out, let's fill it all in with coarse dirt so that it contrasts nicely against all the other stone and cave blocks. It's definitely going to make the whole area pop a bit more instead of everything just blending into one big grayish mess. Plus, it gives that natural earthy feel like the water has just been sitting here for ages. it's time to fill this thing in with water. I'm starting by filling in the lowest section first, then just working my way up, and it should all fill itself in nicely as I go. I know it would probably be easier if I just filled the top layer with dirt, added water, and then broke the extra layer to get it all to fill in, but I feel like just placing the water a bunch is actually less effort than all the extra digging, so that is exactly what I'm doing. On reflection, that absolutely was not less effort, but it was pretty therapeutic, so I won't complain. And now for details, I'm just adding in some lily pads and drip leaves. And now I'm going to use some azalea leaves to create more full kind of, what would the word be? Kind of like when there's like lots of reeds and whatnot around the pond. Like, you know what I mean? Just like thick foliage just all over the pond. You know what I mean? I really have no idea what to call this, but either way, I just feel like it looks super cute mixed in with all of these. Now that's done, let's run around and add some lanterns to all of the lily pads, or some of them, not all of them. And now let's also swim around a little and not do that. What I was trying to do was use our watering can to get a little bit of seagrass going on. And that is almost our lovely little pond finished. I just want to swim under here and take out some of this dirt and replace it with some of the glowing mushroom blocks, because I just feel like it doesn't have enough of that glowing blue Atlantis-y vibe. So I'm just going to add in a few areas of this just to really capture that. I also feel like adding these in will make it so that when you look at it from a certain angle, it kind of just looks like the reflection of the mushrooms as opposed to actually being in the water. I don't know yet. We'll have to wait and see. Okay, yeah, I feel like that really worked out. I love how that looks so much. Okay, so I think we kind of cooked with the pond, I won't lie, and I want to add in some rocks today and just kind of make it look like that sort of jaggedy, broken up waterfall that we see in the movie. Now we should just be able to break this little dam that we built here and also break these blocks over here, and it should create a lovely little waterfall. Okay, that actually looks really cute. I think that adding in the extra mossy cobblestone and stuff just really made a difference there. So let's just jump up our little waterfall and add in, if we can get up there, that'd be great, thank you. Add in some of these mushrooms. So I have just normal classic mushrooms, which because of one of the mods, or maybe this Stay True texture pack, they sort of all placed differently, so it means I don't have to keep collecting different types of mushrooms or using the chipped mod too much for those, but I did use the chipped mod to get these bigger clusters just because it's good to have a few bigger ones about. And that is our waterfall finished. That looks super cute actually. What do you think, Mills? She says, yippee, I would love to jump in the pond and swim around. I actually caught her right here inside of the azalea leaf, just kind of drowning, I feel like, but I saved her and she's fine, and now she's just enjoying a little swim. Very cute. So aside from Atlantis, I was watching a friend of mine play Baldur's Gate and Underdark, and you know, the glowing mushroom people, that is so pretty, and I need more of it in my life, which is why I will be adding another giant glowing mushroom. This time I'm just going to be using the jelly shroom block, so we're going to have the blue stem and then a pinky purpley glowing cap. Okay, I think I need to actually take this back down and bring this out a little bit from the wall, because otherwise we're not going to have space for the cap. So let's break down all of this wood we just placed and move it a couple blocks outwards. Ouch. Okay, there we go. That looks a little bit better. Now let's just get over here and add in some extra branches to the mushroom. Not sure if it would technically be called branches. There's probably an actual word for different arms of mushrooms coming off the main mushroom, if that makes any sense at all. Then let's just add another one right here. Ah, my goodness. That's not what I wanted to do. I thought I was crouched. Oops. Okay, let's bring that out one. Out, up, and that should be fine. At least we have a safe way down now. Okay, nice. So for the caps, I'm going to use this block, which is called Glowing Pillar Luminifor? I don't know how to say it, but that's what we're using. That way we have a really cool glow, and then we can surround it with the jelly shroom stuff, because that is slightly transparent. What is the word when it's not completely see-through? It's there, it's on the tip of my brain. Translucent, that's it. The block is translucent, so we'll see the glow through it, and then we can use the tenene flowers. Tenene? whatever, these pink flowers that will just look really cool. Just bear with me, I'll show you what I mean. So I'm just gonna finish covering up all of this glowing pillar luminifer. I'm just gonna stop saying the words for the blocks. I'm gonna cover up this orange glowing block with some of our jelly shroom. Did I get all of them? Like there's an empty spot right there, isn't there? There we go. And then let's just add some of these lovely flowers. And that is our first glowing cap finish. Now we got to get up here, add one here, and of course one right in the middle. So let's get to it. So let's start by making our circle and preferably stay in crouch so that that doesn't happen again. I feel like I just keep missing my crouch button. Maybe I changed the key by accident. I'm so certain that I'm always crouching and I just don't. Oh, I think I'm hitting the sprint button instead of the crouch. So that's good. That's really helpful when I'm in a hardcore world. And now like we did for the other one, let's add in our jelly shroom caps and our little pink flower leaves just before we go underneath and cover up all of the glow. Oh, I don't know why I'm surprised that these are so bouncy because they are pretty much just slime, but purple. Anyways, let's finish placing all of these. And finally, let's place our final circle for our final cap. Okay, those are looking really good so far. I just want to jump up here and add in some of these longer flowers. They kind of remind me of the glowing berries, slightly to be honest, just because they are just like a hanging flower / vine type thing, but they're really cute because if you place them in different areas, they just naturally have different tones to them and they're just gonna look perfect on the edge of these mushrooms. Oh my goodness, they actually kind of look like jellyfish right now. And I absolutely love that because it is a jelly shroom. So now I need a little bit more storage, and I think the best move here is to expand the base of this mushroom out a bit and then dig into the side of the cave to create a storage room inside of the jelly shroom. I feel like that's a really fun way to make use of the space while keeping everything feeling organic and part of the build in general. Plus, a hidden storage area inside of a giant glowing mushroom makes a cute build also functional, which I love. Okay, so we have our area dug out and I want it to still feel like part of the mushroom, so I'm gonna fill in the roof with some more of this glowing block, then add the jelly shroom and the flowers, and then build up the walls with the jelly wood. Jelly mushroom wood? Jelly mushroom stem. Jelly shroom. I think it's called jelly shroom wood. Okay, it is in fact called jelly shroom wood, but either way, let's get this thing filled in with all of this jelly shroom wood. Now let's cover up this remaining stone with some spruce trapdoors. Oh, and actually let's take out these ones here so that we can add in some corner trims. And now that's all done, let's turn this into a storage area. So let's add our mason table and our carpentry table, and then just add a bunch of spruce cabinets just to make it look a little bit fancier than just a bunch of chests. I think I'm actually going to cut out these 2 pieces or 3 pieces here so that I can place a crafting table and a couple furnaces. And then let's just do another layer of spruce cabinets up here because you can never have too much storage. Then to light up these pieces under here, I'm just going to use some more of these flowers just to really fit the vibe. Okay, cute. Should I just cover all of them? Maybe I should. Does that look better? I feel like I do kind of prefer that. Okay, that's looking super cute. The final touch in here is going to be this glowing blue wood, just because I want it to look more like a rug, but also just have that whole glowing effect going on and be super cohesive. And I would say that is our storage room complete, with Millie stuck in the flowers in the corner. And that is also our second mushroom complete. It is literally so cool, but now it's time for an honorary nap before we head out for some materials. I set out to gather more seeds, including carrots and beetroots. Then I topped off my oak and gathered some spruce and dark oak. Heading back underground, I topped off my coal and iron, some of which I turned into lanterns and some into chains. Then I made sure to grab some lapis and more diamonds for later. Okay, so I want to expand this farm to cover more of the available real estate on the floor, mostly for aesthetic reasons, but it doesn't hurt to have a little bit of variety in our diets. I say that as if I'm actually going to harvest the carrots and whatnot. Let's be real, bread is just too convenient. And now that we have our outlines, let's get these farms filled in. Now let's get our land tilled. And now let's add our details. So I've already added in some stairs up to the second farm and up to this one. So I'm just going to run around and add in fences all the way around the edge. Now let's add some extra lighting. If I could reach the top of the stack there. We'll put that out, then we'll add a trapdoor, and 2 lanterns. Then on this one, we're just going to go ahead and do 1. Then let's add in our trapdoor and our lantern. Now we just need to add a few more lanterns around the edges and we should be good to start planting. Oh, I forgot to do these. And now that's all done, it's time to get this farm planted. So on the bottom, I'm going to do carrots, and on the top, I'm going to do beetroot. And now we just need to wait for all of this to grow in, and that will be our farm complete. And we need to save Millie. There we go, Mills. Come on. Nope. There we go. So I was laying in bed last night thinking about Minecraft as one does, and I had this really cool idea to have hanging tree roots coming down from the ceiling. Kind of as if there are some giant trees here that have roots that are so big that they're growing down into the cave. I just think that would be really neat, so that's what I'm gonna add today. I think it would be cool to also have a couple roots that come down like this and then join up in the middle, just so that they're not all long pointy roots. Okay, those are looking pretty strange, but I think if I just add in a few more, it will make it look less strange. They just don't make sense right now, so let's get right in here and add in a few more of them, and hopefully they look a little bit better. I guess the nice thing about adding these is that they're so far up that technically they're kind of hidden. Like, your eye isn't going to be drawn up very often, so we might be okay if they do look bad. I'm sure they'll look great anyways, but you know, just in case. So I brought this one down into the wall, and then I've sort of curved it around here, and now I'm making it look like it's trailing down to the top of my house. I think that this one's gonna actually pull it together really nicely because it's sort of adding way more of this spruce wood and making it look a lot less random. Okay, that is actually starting to look really good now, but I think we need another one that sort of comes around here because it's all very concentrated over this side. So let's bring the dark brown over this way, and then that should be enough for those tree roots. And that should be our last tree thing finished. So let's get down from this big mushroom and see how we're looking. Hopefully I don't land on a lily pad. All right, cool. I really feel like that one's made a difference, and I'm super happy with how that turned out. But now that I'm really looking at all of them, I feel like maybe some hanging bridges between them would be really cool. So let's do that. So let's start by doing a little, not that, but a little zigzag kind of diamond pattern. And if you have no idea what I'm talking about, I mean like this, but filling in the sides. See, it's like little diamonds. Anyways, this will be our little lower platform, and then we can start building up around the sides to create that sort of hanging bridge look. Okay, that's our first bridge done. Now let's make a bridge this way. You know what? I'm probably gonna have to go down and build back up again just because we need that lower level. Is there any water I could jump into? That would be nice. There we go. Perfect. Okay, now we have our lower platform. We can start building up the sides to create our higher platform, I guess. Obviously. Oh, it looks like I've gone off at the wrong angle. So let's probably build a little bit more this way. And then we should be good with this one. And then I'm going to add another one just from here to that one. Obviously, these bridges are a teeny tiny bit pointless because we actually don't need them for anything, but they're gonna look really cool, and that's mostly all that matters with my builds. Oh my goodness, I almost overshot that. Okay, now that our bridges are done, let's get to work on some safety barriers because obviously we're going to be using this bridge all the time. But let's just make it look a little bit more intentional because I think from the floor these probably just look like extra bits of what are they called? Tree roots. So let's really make it look like a bridge. I feel like it may still look like extra tree roots, but I don't know. I think that these fence additions will make it look less so. Okay, actually, I was worried about the bridges looking like extra tree roots, but they're actually looking like the tree roots are extra bridges. I guess I was worried about the wrong thing, but let's get back up here because I want to hang some chains and some lanterns from it just to make it look really pretty. This would be a great time to have had scaffolding, but I just didn't go get any. So I'm doing it the hard way, which is absolutely fine. I've done it this way a million times. Ouch! And I've also done that a million times. And that is our hanging bridges finished. I just love this point of my builds where I get to stand back and actually see it all coming together. I am super excited about what else I have to build here. Is that Millie? Millie, what are you doing down there? Please get away from the deep dark. After repairing my tools, I spent some time at my enchant setup hoping for a silk touch book to put on my pickaxe. Once that was sorted, I headed back to the end for some aurora crystals I had seen. And once that was done, I gathered clay, moss, drip leaves, and lily pads. Glowing mushrooms, a magical cave. Obviously, this place needs some giant glowing crystals. Clearly. The moment I saw these aurora crystals, I immediately knew what I was going to do with them here. It's just so cool how the texture looks magenta in my hands, but then as I place them, they start glowing through like pink, blue, and green sort of tones. Literally perfect for this whole otherworldly vibe that we've got going on, and I feel like this is exactly what the cave needed to push it into full-on fantasy mode. Okay, this one doesn't have much of the like pink and green tones that I'm talking about going on, but I'm gonna try and place a few more of these and hopefully you can see what I mean. I also love that by adding these crystals, we're basically lighting up all these super high up, darker areas that I usually wouldn't bother with. Okay, we're getting into the greens a little bit now, so I'm thinking maybe if we come out this way, it'll start going a little bit pink. Oh, there we go. Okay, nice. Now let's just add one of these coming down like this. And we are looking pretty good so far, but again, we're very heavy over here, so I think we need to do a couple coming down right here, and then we should be good. Ooh, this one's coming out way more pink than the other ones. I wonder how it works. It's probably just like randomly generated depending on which area they're placed in or something. Does that make sense? Because they're not changing color as I stand here, are they? No, they're staying the same. It's just sort of deciding what color it's going to be as I'm placing them, which is pretty cool. And this one is now turning green. I think we just need to go down a couple more. And I think that is all of our added crystals finished. What do you guys think? I think it looks great. I also just don't want to add any more because I only have 5 more left. So I was thinking, what could possibly be better than 1 pond? 2 ponds! So let's add a second pond. Let's start by taking out a few pieces of granite and replacing it with clay so that we can create a border around our bigger pond, because there is already a little tiny pond right here, but we're going to make this whole thing a pond. And let's also make a second little area here where we bring this second area here out so that we can make a second semicircle area. This will luckily be much easier than the other pond we filled in because it doesn't have multiple layers, so it means that we don't have to keep going round and round and round to get it all filled in. Although I know I technically didn't have to do that the first time. I was just being lazy, but in being lazy, I actually made more work for myself, which is usually how it goes, to be honest. Oh, is that done? Nope. Where are we looking at the problem here? Oh, I guess I have to go along here. Oh, are we done? All right. That's that little pond finished. Now let's fill in this tiny one. Okay, nice. I also think we could get away with adding in another little pond right here. So let me just take out that block and replace that with moss so that it matches the rest of the area. And we'll bring this round. 1, 2, 3, 2, 1, and then join that up there. And that should be good. So let's clear out all of this grass and the moss carpet, and let's get this extra pond filled in. I know I technically said I'm making 2 ponds, but this is 3 ponds. Well, I'm making 2 extra ponds, I guess. Cool. And now it's time for another pond right over here. Just kidding. It's time to decorate the pond. So let's add in a couple of lily pads. I think we're good for drip leaves on these ones, but let's also add in a few of them. Oh, can I not place them here? Oh no, I can only place them on clay. Why did I not know that? Can I place them in here? Oh, I can. Okay, I guess we're putting drip leaves in here. Then in these, we'll just do a couple of lily pads everywhere. And now those are all added. We just need to add in some lanterns to light this place up a little bit. And of course, we can't have more ponds without more waterfalls. So let's build up these side bits here and create another waterfall. That should be the side built up enough, and I'm just going to use this hole in the wall here to create our actual waterfall. Hopefully that runs down nicely. If not, we can go back up and add a little bit more water, but let's see how we're looking. Oh, that actually looks really cute. Do we need it to come over these blocks though? I feel like we do. So maybe we should bring it in from this block. Okay, I'm not sure that made any difference at all. Maybe it covered a few more blocks, but it's still looking a little bit empty. So I'm just going to run around and add some of our spare mushrooms, and hopefully that livens it up a little bit. Okay, that's looking a little bit better. I added in some more of these flowers because I feel like it makes sense for the spores to be spreading over everything it literally can. And I added some of these to the pond, and I was unsure about adding more, but I feel like they do kind of work. So maybe I'll add a few more just over here. I don't want to go too crazy with them because I don't want to take away from the mushrooms glowing, but I feel like over in this pond, adding in the glowing blocks really elevated the pond. So let's do the same over here, and hopefully it does the same over here. Okay, I feel like we're good for decoration now, because otherwise I think we're going to go a bit overboard, and sometimes less is more. Sorry, I seem to say that all the time and then end up adding more, but this time I'm for real. I'm not adding any more. I spent the next however long crawling through caves looking for calcite. After that, I grabbed some andesite, gravel, and flowering azalea leaves, as well as the regular ones. Then I headed topside to wrap everything up with some birchwood. Alright, so Atlantis has those statue guardian things, right? And I was thinking to myself, why shouldn't we have our own? So that is what we're gonna do today. It's not gonna be an exact copy of those or anything. I just think the concept of having a stone guardian statue is awesome. But first, let's get this floor filled in. So for the floor here, I'm going for a mix of gravel and andesite, just enough to contrast from the rest of the cave, but not so much that it feels jarring. It's just a little circular area that subtly says, hey, I am an intentional space for a statue. Alright guys, voice over M here. Since this statue involved a lot of maneuvering and block switching to get all the details right, I found it really hard to yap and build at the same time. So instead, you've got me to keep you company while past M gets the statue done. I'm not entirely sure what kind of creature I was going for, but honestly, the end result turned out pretty cool, so just you wait. Usually, I only go mute when working on bigger builds, but this one was done pretty late at night in real time, so I guess my brain was just extra struggling to multitask. But hey, at least the statue got finished. Alright, I was sort of going for dragon vibes, but it's kind of looking more like a really cute teddy bear. Which I'm totally not mad at. So now that's done, we can get started on some columns. I do think that the statue is already wonderful on its own, but I do think that it would be extra wonderful if we had the columns. So obviously that's what we're building right now. Okay, I think that's a pretty cute and simple column. Let's add in all the other ones. So now that the columns are done, I'm thinking we need to add in some greenery all over the columns and also just around the place in general, because even though we have these little bits of moss laying around, I feel like it would just be much cuter to have some leaves and whatnot in the mix. So let's start by just adding a few flowering azalea and normal azalea leaves, bridging across each of these columns, and then we'll go ahead and add a bunch of leaves around all of the walls of the area. Alright, that has already made the columns look much better. Let's add some leaves to this wall right here because it is looking very, very grey. So I'm just going to trail up the wall, or at least I would if there wasn't a block in the way. But I'm just going to trail up the wall with my leaves and create like a little bit of a trailing vine type pattern. Okay, that actually looks really, really cute. So now let's add a bunch more leaves over here because over here is also looking very, very grey. And I'm gonna go a little bit crazy on this one because I actually really like how that turned out on the other leaves. So why not just go absolutely mental with it? Okay, I fear I may have gone a little bit crazy with all of these leaves, but they blend in really well, so I don't think it really matters, and they look really, really lovely, so I'm glad that I did all of that, even if it's not the most obvious change. On that note though, I'm going to harvest some more of my wheat so that we have some food, and then I'm going to head out for a few more materials. I spent a little bit of time doing the familiar chore of topping off my iron and coal. Once that was done, I gathered some dirt for dirt paths and topped off my oak and spruce before heading home. I have said it before and I will say it 1,000 times. Paths and lighting are the things that tie builds together. They're beautiful, they give the world a sense of completion and a sense of depth that doesn't happen if you don't do them. I just love adding the paths so much, and obviously the lighting so that less scary stuff spawns. So for the paths, I'm just replacing a lot of this moss with dirt so that I can make dirt paths. I also don't want to talk about the fact that there is a geode right under me because I spent ages looking for them earlier to get all the calcite for the statue, and there was one right beneath me the entire time. But to be honest, there probably wouldn't have been enough in there, so I don't have to worry too much about that being a waste of my time. Okay, that's all of our dirt paths done. Now I've got to turn them into actual dirt paths. And I've got a feeling my shovel is going to run out of juice. So let's just see how far this one gets me, and then I'll have to go build another one. Build another one? Craft another one. It almost made it. Alright, I've added in some oak slabs so that the transition from each block is a little bit easier to run around on. And now I have these path block things, which I feel like are just going to look really good on top of this dirt path. So I'm just going to add these all the way along just to add a little bit more texture to our dirt paths. Now let's join up these oak logs with some fencing, and then we can add in some lighting. For lighting, I'm just going to keep it simple and go with the same kind of design that we did for the farm. Keeps it super cohesive and it's just easy to do. And now that our lighting's done, it is finally time for final details. So I'm starting with adding these little seating areas around the statue because I just feel like that looks really cute, and we can add some extra lighting around here too. I added a few extra cute benches around the place, but I feel like we need to give a little bit of love to this tiny pond that was here from the start. So I'm just going to put in a few of my leftover lily pads and then add in a couple lanterns here. And I really feel like this statue area could benefit from being a little bit more illuminated. So I'm just going to add in some really subtle fairy lights just on the sides here to make it look a little bit more, what would the word be? Cohesive, I guess, because at the moment it's pretty dark and everything else in this build is glowing, so I feel like adding these lights is just going to be the perfect finishing touch. Okay, that looks pretty good. I feel like if we just add in a couple more of those there to really show off the statue, we might be good, and I think we are. And with that, I think we can safely say that we have transformed a Lush cave. Water dripped from the ceiling onto the towering glowing mushrooms and then into the glowing pools below. The soft rustling of drip leaves as Millie ran through them were a satisfying note to end our project on. From the towering crystals to the enchanting mushrooms to our cozy home, I knew our transformation was a success. My name is Em, this is Millie, and you have all been amazing. Make sure you subscribe so I can see you in the next one.